Alright everybody, welcome to our third video in the tutorial Charting in Single Case Research. This tutorial is building on the last two tutorials where we reviewed a couple of examples of single case charting and the terms we usually use to refer to specific elements. And this tutorial is going to begin putting together a more basic, simple line series chart. Here you'll see figures that we used from the initial video, and this is largely the standard of what Excel would give you, really just a simple set of lines with no markers and some kind of arbitrary colors that contrast. And this is what we referenced when we thought of a more complete example. So this tutorial today is going to focus on getting us from here to here. So what we'll do is we will delete both of these. We'll get rid of these labels that were left over. So the first thing we need to do is we need to put together a plot for this data. So right now we need to tell Excel that we need to get a chart right about here, and then we're going to put some data in it. So we're going to go to Insert, and in Charts you'll see that there's lines here, but you don't really want these types of lines. What we want is a scatter plot, and this is a better fit for a couple reasons that we'll go into. And we want a scatter plot with lines and markers because we're going to have lines connecting data, and we may change the markers. So we're going to pick this one. Now this isn't altogether useful yet because it's just a big white canvas, and we're gonna put some data in it by right-clicking and going to select some data. Now this can be a little bit overwhelming because it doesn't give you much info to go on, but we want to, we could add a range and Excel can guess, but really we're going to tell Excel exactly what we want because we have baseline data we want to show and treatment data. So right now I want to start with baseline data, and it's asking me for a name. You could either write baseline in here, or you could click this button and just point to like a name on there. So we could do that. Next, it's going to want to know the X and Y values. It's going to want to know the X and Y because it's looking at data like it's a scatter plot. So for the X values, we're just going to give it all the X values that we have, even if we don't have a Y value for it. And we'll do it by this. Now this could be kind of hard to decipher if you're new to this, but Excel does a good job of highlighting where things are. So usually if you click on it, you could see, what this deciphers down into. So we have a name for the baseline, we have the X values, and now we have to delete whatever's in here. And we need to highlight our Y values. And we'll do it like this. And then we'll say OK. Now already we see our chart has the baseline data, and it looks like the data because there's a chunk that's missing here, here, and here. And that makes sense because that's where our treatment data should go. So we're going to click on Add, and we're going to say the other one we have is called Treatment. Now we're going to pick the same X values because both the baseline and the treatment came from the same X value. And we're going to do the same thing for the y values, except this time we're going to do the treatment ones. And that's our data so far. Now, this really doesn't look a whole lot better than the initial example that Excel gave us, at least not yet. So for now, what we want to do is we want to tell Excel that we have some other things we'd want to add in there. Now, in the newer versions of Excel, you can click on this little plus number or a plus button that lets you add elements, but there is another button in the ribbon. If you were to go to Chart Tools and Design, this plus button really does the same thing. So if you click this, you probably want to tell Excel to add a couple things. So you want a chart title, you want a legend, let's put it at the bottom. We want to have some titles for the axes, and that's probably a good place to start. So here are the core, this is the core bit of data that we need to put together our simple line chart. That's about all we'll cover today. In the next tutorial, we'll focus on styling and formatting this plot so it looks a little bit more like the very structured and clear example we showed in the initial tutorial. Check back at the channel, and we'll see you guys then. Bye.